welcome to the Monday evening.
You love ball like I do. After Dark's a must listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fixed.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Welcome in. It is the Field of 68 After Dark on this Wednesday. Chris Childers with the coach, Matt McCall, and former Illinois star, the great Mr. Mike Latula. We have a lot to talk about today, gentlemen. We are getting into the Sweet 16. Tomorrow, we got games in Newark. We got games in San Francisco. Kind of weird that nobody in San Francisco is anywhere near San Francisco, whether it be Arkansas, Texas Tech, Maryland, or Florida. Everybody's making a long trip out there. But Newark and San Francisco are the sites for the East and the West tomorrow. We are going to get into previewing those games tonight with all of you as we get ready for Thursday's games in the round of 16. Matt and Mike, let's just go ahead and get things started off with BYU and Alabama. It is a 6-2 game in the East. Matt McCall, Alabama has been good all year. The offense has been rocking. BYU, new coach, same results, all is well. What do you make of this matchup at the Prudential Center?
Well, everyone wants to talk about, first of all, I mean, this is unbelievable. I mean, we're 24 hours, less than 24 hours away from the Sweet 16. So let's start there. And nothing else matters tomorrow other than these games. But let's start first with BYU and how they play on the offensive end of the floor. Like, the biggest key, no question about it, for Alabama tomorrow is how are they going to defend the three? And can they stay out of rotations? BYU does such a great job of playing out of concepts. And when they get two on the ball, if they're running a ball screen or whatever they're running, they get two on the ball, they take advantage of that. And then you're constantly in rotations and you're trying to play catch up. You want to talk about a team that's great at getting an advantage, and keeping an advantage? That's BYU. So for Alabama, it's, hey, how are we staying out of rotation so we don't give up three-point shots? Because if we give up a bunch of threes, then you're going to be playing catch up the entire game, and you don't want to get behind that offense. For BYU, it's rebounding. And I made this analogy today on Off Campus with Jacob Hester on Channel 84. It was like, at this point in the year, and Mike knows this, every coach has that bubble that they can put up on the rim, and where if you shoot a basketball, the ball is never going in. It's a rebounding drill. That's the whole key for BYU tomorrow. Can they rebound the basketball? So, the bubble had to have been up there, and those players are like, when the bubble goes up, this is all we're going to do. It's a war. It's a battle, because the ball can't go through the net. Players don't like the bubble. They don't like the bubble. And I'm not talking about the NCAA tournament bubble. I'm talking about the bubble that's the rebounding drill. That's the biggest key for BYU. Can they rebound the basketball? Can they keep Big Cliff, Grant Nelson off the offensive glass? Because they're not a great rebounding team. Can they neutralize those two guys and keep them off the offensive glass? And then can Alabama guard the three-point line? Like, those are the two stats to pay attention to in this matchup. Rebounding and three-point shooting.
I don't think there's any question, Latulip. And Alabama has certainly done a nice job this year of scoring in bunches and rebounding the basketball, second chance opportunities. What do you think about what McCall said? He said the key for BYU is, can they rebound? Well, can they? Do you think they have a chance to be successful tomorrow on the boards against Alabama?
Well, McCall used the word war, and it's funny because the drill we used to do at Illinois when we put that bubble on the rim was called war rebounding.
Everybody has it,
so
and nobody likes it.
Everybody has it.
And it's not ideal to do it getting ready for a Sweet 16, but you had to do it this week.
Yeah. Pursuit is going to be key for BYU. When you look at rebounding, it's not just about, hey, do we have the size? It's do you have the speed and the pursuit to be able to track the ball down? And they're going to have to, because Alabama in the first 2 games of this NCAA tournament, they've played to their strengths and they had advantages in the paint. And I still think they have a little bit of that against BYU, but certainly not as much as they did against St. Mary's and Robert Morris. So I think they took 21 and they took 17 threes in their 2 NCAA tournament games. It may eclipse 30 tomorrow night. And get back to kind of their old ways early in the season. And McCall, when those threes go up and they go up at a high rate, long rebounds, you're going to have to track them down and pursue if you're BYU. So that's certainly key. But flip to the other side. I mean, we know this is going to be a track meet, but to go off of what McCall said with the way you have to defend BYU and what makes BYU such a good offense, it's not just, hey, we fly up and down the court and we're shooting threes. I mean, I think that's kind of almost like a misnomer with BYU. They play with pace, but it's their pace in the half court. The way they set up the cuts, the way they come off ball screens and off ball actions, and like the way you have to chase, and your job is never done. And so I look at Richie Saunders and I say, who gets that assignment? Because I heard LeBaron Philon in the locker room saying, I'll be on whoever the best player is. So now you got a freshman, you got a 19-year-old chasing around Richie Saunders all game. How does that? LeBaron Philon is the key for me in this game, because I mean he hasn't scored at a high level in this tournament, only I think 7 points total, but he's 13 assists, 1 turnover. He's had great floor games in both games, and then he may be tasked with the toughest assignment tomorrow night defensively. So that's a big challenge for a young guy like that, and I'm really curious to see how he rises to the occasion, if he rises to the occasion. And again, we could get 65 plus threes taken in this game tomorrow night. I don't think Alabama is going to be shy to shoot them, and we've seen with the 3-point variance, if they can make them, we may be the first to 90 in this game.
Bombs away. It's going to be bombs away. It's going to be
bombs
fun.
away.
I mean, it's going to be one of those games that's back and forth, up and down, shoot. And if you're making it, then you're probably going to have a nice night. So we'll see what happens between Alabama and BYU come tomorrow night. Alabama's confidence. I mean, this is a team that kind of had a little bit of a roller coaster of a year. They started off good, kind of had some moments. They had some issues there against some quality teams in the SEC that they kind of measured themselves after. But this is a team that went to the Final Four last year. They've got the banner hanging in their gym. Mark Sears and company know how to advance. Do you think when it gets to the second weekend, and Matt, you've been in this position as a coach, you were there at Florida, how much does knowing how to get past a weekend and win 2 games, how much does that factor into this?
I mean, I think it factors in a ton. This team has confidence now. And everyone was saying when they were in a dogfight against Bobby Morris, like they were in a dogfight in the first round, everyone's like, oh, here we go.
Bobby
like,
Mo.
what's wrong? Here we go. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong with this team? And now all of a sudden they're in the Sweet 16. Like, you need to go through some stuff. And this team has gone through some stuff. And people probably get annoyed with my analogies about my time at Florida, but like the 2006 national championship team, we were 10-6 in the SEC, 10-6. So we went through some stuff, and then going through that adversity catapults you to the Final Four. The following year in 2007, we lost 3 out of 4 games coming down the stretch of the season. Like, that happened. It wasn't going well. So you had to go through some of that adversity to catapult you to a Final Four and eventually to a national championship. What Nate Oates did this offseason was, hey, we're going to go get Big Cliff from Rutgers. This is what we need to try to anchor our defense. And when they got him, the expectations went completely through the roof because you return Mark Sears, you return Grant Nelson, you got all these guys. And then, by the way, we've been bad on defense last year, so we're going to bring in Cliff to help anchor our defense. Oh, this is a lock. This is a lock Final Four team. This is a lock team to compete for a national championship. And then they go through some stuff. And everyone's kind of down and out on them. And now all of a sudden they're sitting here in the Sweet 16. So that adversity has only helped this team. Benching Mark Sears against LSU has only helped this team. And they're sitting here with an opportunity, in the Sweet 16 to advance and ultimately get to a Final Four. So this one's going to be fun. It's going to be a up and down game. I mean, I'm leaning towards Alabama in this one just because of that experience that you brought up, Chris. I mean, they've been here before. And when the game gets close and it gets tight down the stretch of this game, Nate Oates in that timeout, he can point to that guys, we've been here before. This is our region. Let's get to a Final Four.
It's time for them to show what they're all about. They have their opportunity over the next 2 games. BYU is a big first step, and then after that, we know the winner of Duke, Arizona waits, and a lot of us think it's probably going to be Duke, the way that team has played. So it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination for Alabama to get back to the Final Four. Mike, your thoughts on BYU and just the story and the journey. Everybody talked about Mark Pope leaving and what a great coach he was and a loss for BYU and Kentucky's gain and he's coming home and blah, blah, blah. So they had to somewhat reinvent themselves, but the results are the same. I mean, they got to be proud being back in the second weekend of the tournament.
Absolutely. And it's pretty amazing what's brewing in Provo. I mean, you go and look at a team that's in a Sweet 16 right now, and there's not many other teams in the country right now that can say they are the only one that can say we are in a Sweet 16, and whether it ends here, we advance. We are also getting the number 1 player in the country coming to our school. It's pretty remarkable what they've been able to do. And look, like this isn't just out of nowhere. I mean, they had a National Player of the Year in Jimmer Fredette, and they had the infrastructure for that. They could support that. And then now they've just had – this is just a new iteration of BYU basketball. And I think Kevin Young is very, very similar to Mark Pope in a sense where there's just a lot of ingenuity and the innovation offensively that allows them to be so unique and so tough to guard. I mean, I think people forget they've lost 1 game in the last month and a half. It's remarkable. They've been one of the hottest teams in college basketball. So that's what makes this game so high level. And even to flip back to Alabama real quick, I think if you're Nate Oates, you're licking your chops here a little bit, not just because it's not about the opponent necessarily. It's just for your team. You've spent really the whole year wanting to get your defensive grit back after being 111th nationally last year. And now not only do you propel yourself to this moment here where you're back in a Sweet 16, but you're going to need your freaking defense to get out of this region. Ooh. Right? And he knows that. And that's, I think throughout the season where he's saying, you miss a defensive assignment, you're out. You don't show toughness, you're out. He was very quick with the hooks with his team. And so that's why I think it's fitting that he's in this moment now where he's like, hey, you guys want to be gritty? You want to be tough defensively? Yeah. You got to prove it here in this region if they want to make a Final Four.
Go ahead, Matthew. I hear you making noises over there, Bubba.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree with Mike in terms of that. Like the accountability piece that Nate Oates has had with this team. I mean, to bench your best player and all the distractions that came with that. Like, let's not forget what happened when he benched him. I mean, Sears' mom took to X. And she started tweeting and everything that's wrong and all this. And it's like to be able to block that out as a program and have this team back in the Sweet 16, that's coaching. That's a tribute to Coach Oates and just in terms of hey man, this is what we're doing. We're gonna hold guys accountable. If you don't like it, tough. If you don't like it, tough. But this is where we're at. There's so many coaches in today's day and age that would not do that. They would not bench their best player when the game's on the line. They wouldn't do it. And he did it, and it worked out. And this team is sitting here in a position right now in the Sweet 16 to advance in this tournament. And I think the majority of the country agrees that the tide's going to roll. The tide's going to roll, and they're going to move on, most likely to face Duke. So the accountability piece for his players, it's to Mike's point, if you're not guarding, you're out. Because this has been the problem. We're going to score. Everybody can score points on that roster. We're going to score. That ain't the problem. The problem is, can we defend? And that's going to be the biggest test tomorrow. Stay out of rotations. Don't give up, 13, 14 threes in the game, and you advance in the NCAA tournament.
All right, so we have that game tomorrow, and that game is clean. Alabama's got a coach that's solidified. BYU's got a young coach that has an exciting future. All is well. Meanwhile, Maryland, Florida, everybody's talking about Kevin Willard. What's going to happen? Is he going to Nova? When's he going to Villanova? Florida's just sitting there licking their chops after surviving UConn. But Matt McCall, what the hell? I mean, how weird. How weird. It's so weird. I feel this
it's almost like it's
weird.
It's almost can they just name an interim coach? Just give an interim tag to somebody.
Yeah, let somebody else coach the rest of the way. Get him out.
What do you mean?
No, I'm
what
not
do you
saying,
mean? Let him coach. Let him announce it.
I'm saying give an interim
there.
tag to Villanova. Interim tag to Villanova.
Yeah.
Not saying Maryland. I'm saying interim tag to Villanova. This is the problem, and we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this later in the show, but this is the problem, that everybody is so freaked out and consumed with the transfer portal that these coaches are getting hired literally when their private plane off the NCAA tournament is landing on the runway. These coaches are on the way to another school. Nico Medved on the way to another school. Richard Pitino on his way to another school. Doesn't even get an opportunity to celebrate being in the NCAA tournament. So now we have this situation where everyone is pointing, because there was a rant about not being able to stay an extra night in New York City in a hotel. There is one of the best jobs open in the country in Villanova, who the expectation is national championships. You have a coach that has also had tremendous success in the Big East, who also just lost his athletic director. So there's just so many things that are pointing to, this is the guy that they're getting ready to hire. This is him. And you can't even avoid the distractions. Like you can't even avoid it. Like this is what it is.
No.
But I will say this.
Guys, they just had the moment of the tournament. They are our March Madness. They are our buzzer beater.
But it's almost one of those things, child. It's almost one of those things, Childos. It's just there's too many signs that say he's going, and maybe he doesn't end up going. Maybe he doesn't end up going. We don't have the information that says it, but it's the AD is out. The rant about the hotel.
Yes.
His success in the league. All these things. There's just so many different things. But in terms of basketball, in terms of the matchup, you know me. I'm a Gator alum, spent 11 years working at the University of Florida. Todd Golden is doing a phenomenal job. But this is a team that can push the Florida just like UConn did the other day because of the physicality in the front court. Because of Derek Queen, because of Reese, they can push the Gators. Because of the Crab Five. Because they've also been on the West Coast the entire time. They haven't come home. Florida flew from Raleigh back to Gainesville, had to travel all the way across the country on Tuesday. Maryland's just sitting out there. They're in their cold tubs. They're used to the West Coast time. They're used to the Pacific time zone. So this is going to be a great game. But the topic is not necessarily the basketball. It is the Villanova job, which is unfortunate because we have a great matchup in the Sweet 16 with these two teams.
An unbelievable matchup with these two teams. Are you kidding me? I mean, Derek Queen is a joy to watch. The Florida Gators, my God. I mean, the way that they came on the second half of the season, snatching a 1 seed in this tournament, the way that they won the SEC tournament, you've seen them the last couple of games against UConn. What a show by Walter Clayton. I mean, that guy you talk about championship pedigree. He put the damn team on his shoulders and said, no, this isn't happening. We're winning this damn game. And they did. This has it all. You look at Gillespie and everybody. My question is for you, Michael Tula. Depth-wise, everybody brings it up with Maryland. Is this the game that it becomes an issue?
I mean, you can only play 5 guys. So I like and their 5 guys are really damn good. So it hasn't been an issue for them all season, and I don't expect it to be an issue for them now. The issue, I guess, if you want to say there is one, is that they're playing the deepest team in America, in my opinion, in Florida. And so, look, I think for Florida, I think it's really easy to try to use like prior results or, hey, they didn't look as sharp against Norfolk, and they didn't look as sharp for, a good majority of the game against UConn. But we've just seen this too many times in the NCAA tournament where go back to Kansas in 2022, that, the round of 32 game, if you have a team that hasn't really played together a ton and is experiencing maybe the NCAA tournament, not necessarily for the first time, but with that target on your back for the first time, that's different. And you're playing against the defending national champions, and you're playing against a coach in Danny Hurley that would have died out there to win that game from the looks of it. I just think like that 2022 Kansas team, they played Creighton in the round of 32, and it was a 1-point game with like 50 seconds left. You survive that. Now I think there's just, and McCall, maybe you can agree with this, there's something to surviving a close game like that early that almost gives you like a new lease on life for the rest of the tournament.
Yes.
Like, okay, we experienced it. We went through it. And Walter Clayton, he was great late, hit the big shots, but Elijah Martin freaking won them that game. The tap out on the free throw block out, the offensive rebound. And then when they went to their 2 big lineup, Florida, and Alex Condon had to chase around Alex Caravan, that was not a good matchup for Condon. And you know what they did? They took Condon out of the game, and you know who started guarding Alex Caravan? Elijah Martin. So like he 100%. He was such a pivotal part of that game, and I'm fascinated because I look at the biggest matchup of this game to me is Queen and Condon. That is the matchup because I think Condon has the ability to bother Queen because he's 6'11", he's mobile, he can move. He has all the tools, I think, to make life a little bit difficult for Queen. But on the flip side of that, sometimes talent can transcend that. And Derek Queen is freaking talented. And we've seen him. Yeah. Saw him a few weeks ago against Michigan with Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf, and that dude had 31. Didn't bother him at all. And so if he can have another performance like that against a player like Condon, now you start talking about Derek Queen on this stage doing that again after the buzzer beater. Is he a top 5 guy now? I mean, all that's on the table. I think this is an unbelievable matchup. I'll probably stick with my pick of Florida, but I've been waiting for this game since the brackets come out, and I'm glad it came to fruition.
And Mike, you bring up a great point. You bring up a great point. A couple good points to like Florida being in a close game. Like that was my concern last season with UConn going into the tournament. Is like they weren't playing any close games. Now they just ended up boat racing everybody in the tournament. It didn't really matter. They were that much better than everybody. But Florida hasn't been in a close crush people. Florida hasn't been in a close game in a while. And in a while, where like a game that was like coming down to the last possession, or you had to make plays coming down the stretch of the game. The other point you made too was about Elijah Martin. Elijah Martin kept Florida in the game in the first half because it wasn't going well. But he was the only guy that was keeping them in. He was making effort plays. He started the game off with the dunk. He caught it on a lob. Like this is also a guy that's been there before. Like that's the thing that's so impressive about what Dusty May is doing at Michigan is you look at the guys that played for him at FAU, Nelly Davis, Sweet 16, Vlad Golden, Sweet 16, Elijah Martin, Sweet 16. These 3 guys have all been there. They've all been there. They've all been on that stage, and Elijah Martin knows what goes into winning. He's a guy on that team that does not get talked about enough. He knows exactly what goes into winning. And that was one of the best transfers in the entire country. And it is paying dividends right now for the Florida Gators.
Massive dividends. Massive dividends. It was a work of art. And they were in a dogfight the other day, literally, against the Huskies, right? And those 2 guys and that whole team, I mean, the depth matters. And that's why I still think they have a significant edge going into this game. I don't know how much of it. I mean, I'm not saying they're double digits better, but I still think that depth's going to matter. But we'll see come tomorrow. And I wonder about the Kevin Willard crap. I mean, this is for a team that just went, dude, For the team that just went to the Sweet 16? And we're sitting
but
here right now.
But the only thing I'll say, Childers, is like, is it really a distraction?
Because
I think
when the ball tips, no one's thinking.
It doesn't matter. Nobody's thinking about it. And the other thing is too, there's over 1,000 kids in the transfer portal right now.
I don't believe that.
1,000 kids in the transfer portal. So everybody's thinking about what's next. Everybody is. And what can you get next? Everybody is. It's just, you might as well just embrace it. So if you're in that locker room in Maryland right now, it's like, embrace it.
If he is leaving, is leaving, he should just pull a Will Wade and just tell him before the game. Maybe they can have like a little rallying moment.
Be clean.
Like, God, I don't know. Just do it. It worked for McNeese.
Yes. Will Wade set a precedent now. It's we can be honest. Honesty's okay. Let's take a break. Come back. Let's talk about the other matchups tomorrow. We are on the eve of the Sweet 16. It's After Dark.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
People have opinions about me, strong ones. Some compare my brand to the competition and call me a copycat. Some say that I'm just watered down, that I fall flat. I've heard it all. But the people who get me, they say I'm different, subtle, but balanced. Nothing to hide, nothing artificial. And once they give me a chance, they keep coming back for more. For more dad water. That's right, I'm talking about dad water, and I swear by it. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail made with real tequila. 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and gluten-free. Find Dad Water's 4 flavors in an 8-pack variety pack or single flavor 6-packs. Dad Water invites you to enjoy its great lineup of products all tournament long. Take it from me, Jeff Goodman. Sometimes the most polarizing things are the best things. Dad Water, tequila, water, natural flavors.
Oh, that dad water looking good. It will taste really good when you're watching the Sweet 16 tomorrow. I will tell you that. It's all the guys have been talking about, the dad water and how good it is. So make sure you get yourself some for the games tomorrow. Chris Childers, Mike Latulip, and Matt McCall. I know those two are going to be sipping away at the dad water come tomorrow. We got a lot to talk about, guys. We just talked about 2 really intriguing matchups. Guess what? There's more come tomorrow. We're just getting started. 2 more games to determine who's going to be in the Elite 8. Arizona and Duke, they play at 9:39 tomorrow in Newark at the Prudential Center. Duke has been outstanding all year. Many people have called them the favorite to win this entire thing. They're young. They don't play like it. Cooper Flagg is a freshman. You would never know it based on the way that he plays, especially on the defensive end. It's hard to imagine many youngsters playing the way that he does on that side, but it's full buy-in, great talent, well-rounded. They got it all. An Arizona team with Tommy Lloyd that is hungry. Matt McCall, what say you about this game, sir?
You know what? Fanta's interview with Tommy Lloyd, when Lloyd said, look, this is not North Carolina versus Duke. Can we stop talking about that? Just because of Caleb Love, we're making this about North Carolina versus Duke. I mean, our guy Tyler Hansborough said if Arizona wins this game, they should hang his jersey in North Carolina's rafters. Like, no, we got to move past that. Yeah, his Arizona jersey. Put it up in the Carolina rafters, right next to Michael Jordan's and James Worthy's. Throw it up there. I just think as good as Arizona has been, and I have great respect for Tommy Lloyd, the job that he's done. I mean, you think about, him coming from Gonzaga to be the head coach at Arizona. I mean, the jump that is, being the top guy at Gonzaga to be the head coach at Arizona. He's done an unbelievable job. But this Duke team, they're just too good. There's too much firepower out there. Cooper Flag, the fact that he played in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, that just shows you how much of a competitor this guy is and how much he just loves competing and playing the game of basketball. I don't see how this one's, really even that close. I think there's just too much Duke. Jon Scheyer, the job he's done. Let's not get started on the whole ACC Coach of the Year. Not that Pat Kelsey was not deserving because he did an outstanding job flipping a program. But come on, man, what Jon Scheyer's doing at Duke, taking over for a living legend, which is not an easy thing to do. And we've seen a lot of guys struggle with it. We saw Kyle Neptune get let go this year after taking over for a living legend. It's not easy to do. And this guy's doing it. And he's not only doing it, he's doing it at a high level. So this Duke team for me, they're on a path to a Final Four. I don't think it's a walk in the park because I think Arizona will have a good game plan. You give Tommy Lloyd a week to prepare for this team. He'll have a game plan on how they're going to defend and guard Cooper Flag. But Duke's just too good. So the Blue Devils are marching on. Too good.
100%. And with Jon Scheyer, so young. I mean, the guy's got a long career ahead of him. It's incredible what he's done, picking up the mantle there. Michael Tulip, Arizona heavy underdog. Should they be in your eyes?
I think it's about right. Feels like the 9.5 or whatever it's at, bordering on a double digit. I mean, that's about right. That's probably where a lot of opponents would be against Duke at this point for the remaining field. These two teams played back in November, and a lot's changed since then. Personnel has changed. They're both playing a lot faster. That game was 69-55. And it's fascinating to see, Krivas is now out. Vesar and Awaka played 13 and 12 minutes in that game. Caleb Foster played 26 minutes in this game. Sion James came off the bench and played 20. Mason Gillis played 7 minutes. I mean, it's just these teams are completely different. But the one thing, you could look at it and be like, hey, well, we should be confident. We're Duke. We already beat them. But the one thing I think Arizona has going for them is that they're not going to have that shock to the nervous system of playing against this positional size of Duke because I've already seen it. I thought Baylor was like, whoa, and could not get their footing the entire game in terms of how quickly gaps close defensively, how quickly those closeouts are, Malawatch around the rim. I mean, this is at least an Arizona team that's seen it. And again, I don't want to make this reductive, but this is going to come Caleb Love has to be Caleb Love in this game. I shouldn't say Caleb Love has to be good Caleb Love in this game. And he has to make shots. He actually, in that first matchup, he actually had open looks. But what Duke does to you defensively is they create the paranoia that gaps are closing so quickly that you rush shots. And he had open looks that he rushed. And because he rushed them, he missed them. And so does he look back on it and say, hey, if I get open looks, just settle in, take the shot, knock it down? That's going to be obviously a major key here. But like McCall said, I continue to be so impressed with Duke. And it has nothing to do, well, maybe a little bit to do with just their talent, right? They're super talented. The roster construction's awesome. But I've kind of lauded their mentality all year. And just, the militant way they go about things, and for it to be that way and also be how young they are, that does not happen. That is so rare.
No,
for a team to be this locked in. And so, I mean, we've seen it.
They're special.
They had the same demeanor.
They had
the same demeanor against Louisville in the ACC championship as they had against Mount St. Mary's in the opener, and that's what makes this Duke team different.
Yeah,
they are number one in the country in average margin of victory. And I get it that the ACC's down. I get it. I totally get it. I understand that. We can talk about that all day long if we want to. But they're number one in the country in average margin of victory. And that average margin of victory is 21.5 points.
Yeah.
21.5 points.
UConn-y to you from last year?
They feel a little bit UConn-y, but I'm saying,
yeah.
Think about that. 21.5 points. And in their non-league, they played Baylor. They played Arizona. They played Kentucky. It's like They played Kansas. They played Auburn. Like, they played all these teams in the non-league. So it's not like, they're like playing cupcakes and it's like, oh, well, the ACC's down. They haven't played anybody. No. Oh, by the way, they played Illinois, with 3 games to go in the ACC season in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So, like, they scheduled hard. And their
Easy.
average margin of victory is 21.5 points. 21.5 points. That's ridiculous.
But to your point, it's because of the mentality. Like, every game is a new game for them, and I have never once seen them this season say, "Hey, we're playing this team tonight," or "Hey, you know what? Let's shift it into this gear." I mean, they show up and they're so consistent. And that's why, I have them winning the entire thing, and so I certainly have them winning this game against Arizona. But again, like, these are 2 different teams in the teams that we saw in November.
That game coming up tomorrow, 9:39, and as you know, nobody takes you inside the tournament like the Field of 68. Our very own John Fanta caught up with both coaches, Jon Scheyer and Tommy Lloyd. Wanted to share the conversations with you now. Here's our boy, Mr. Fanta.
Tommy Lloyd, as you get ready for this showdown with Duke, let's talk about the identity of your team. In what ways do you feel you've grown the most from November 4th to today?
I just think, we've proven that we're resilient. We're proving that we're a tough out. I think one of the things that's been good about this team, and, we'll see how it goes, tonight, but, like, just being able to, if we don't shoot well, we kind of hang in the game, and to me, that's been a trademark of our team, just that grittiness to kind of stay in there and give ourselves a chance at the end, or to make a run at the right time and see if we can separate.
How big is tempo to this game with Duke?
Tempo is always important for us. We like to play at a good pace. We don't mind, getting out on the break and turning defense into offense. And, for me, it doesn't mean we need to shoot quick. It just means we need to get the ball, up the court and get it moving side to side and make teams guard, meaningful actions. Guarding a post running down the middle of the floor in an early post-up is meaningful. Guarding an early ball screen is meaningful. And, can we create advantages off that kind of stuff? So that's the stuff we're trying to look for.
You have the guy that seems like as the spotlight gets brighter, he relishes in it, in Caleb. And he just saw the press, and he said, I love the group of guys that I'm with. Somebody said, are you getting tired of playing Duke? He goes, I'm not tired of playing Duke. I'm a competitor. Yeah. How much do you see that on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, he's been awesome. I mean, he's a great guy, and, what's really cool about him is, in the moments that haven't been good, and he has been criticized and scrutinized, he keeps showing up. And it never makes excuses. So I've learned a lot watching what he's gone through, and I respect him as a person, and I love being his coach. And, we're not trying to make this a Duke Carolina thing. This is a Duke Arizona thing. Caleb Love plays for Arizona, so whatever happened at Carolina, whatever. I mean, that to me don't mean what. So I'm excited that Arizona's playing Duke in this setting, and then we got Caleb Love on our team.
The other side has a guy by the name of Cooper Flagg. When you are watching him, what do you see?
I mean, he's just so impactful. He's a guy that impacts the game every moment, on both ends of the floor, whether he has the ball, doesn't have the ball. And it's just such a rare trait for a young player. And it comes so naturally for him. That's the amazing thing. Like, playing hard is easy for him. Impacting the game is easy for him. Making plays for himself is easy for him. Making plays for others is easy for him. You just don't see that in college basketball very often. So that's probably why he won't be around that long. But I got a ton of respect for him. I met him, at USA Basketball, because we were kind of both behind the scenes with the senior team. And he walked into the meal room all by himself and his 17-year-old kid. And that was, this past summer, and he handled himself with class. Didn't try to draw any attention to himself, and with anything extra, just what put your eyes on him is when you watch him play. And I really respect him as a person and for how he's handled all this early success he's had in his career.
Last but not least, see the March Madness sign behind you. This is a time of year that's magical in this sport. And, of course, you guys have been a staple to this tournament and trying to go even deeper than this. As this is going on, every 5 to 10 minutes there's a tweet. He is entering the transfer portal. He is entering the transfer portal. This is happening. That's happening. As one of the coaches of the top programs in the sport, what do you make of the volatility?
Well, personally, for me, I'm unaffected because I'm not on Twitter. I'm not following that stuff. So, 'cause the best place for me to put my focus and energy is my team. And, my staff keeps me updated on things that I might need to be updated on. It's just I don't know if it's sad, but it is what it is. And college basketball is still so special. On a day-to-day basis, when I really get to do what I love to do, which is coach and be with the guys and build a team, putting up with all that other stuff, makes it worth it. I'm willing to put up with the tough stuff because I love what I do so much. I don't know if this is the best thing for college basketball, what we're doing right now with all this movement, but it is what we're doing. So, for me, I'm not going to make any proclamations or anything like that other than we're going to try to do our best and survive in a complex environment. And I think we've been doing a good job of that. And I still this college basketball is changed my life. And it's given me and my family so many good things that I'm grateful for it, even if it's not perfect.
Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
John, as this group gets ready for the Sweet 16, what has been the most rewarding part of coaching this particular team?
Well, for me, it's coaching a group of guys that are truly in the moment of what's happening, which I think is hard to do now with so much going on around them, and the fact that they are incredibly connected. That's something that doesn't come all the time, and I'm really proud to coach these guys.
I got to tell you this quick story. Yesterday, I'm talking with the Montverde staff. They say that last year, Montverde's playing Paul VI, and Darren Harris, Pat Gongba go up to Cooper Flag in the hotel lobby, and Cooper ignores them for a good 2 minutes. And Pat goes back to his parents and says, "What the heck's going on? We're going to be friends next year." Are you surprised by that?
I haven't heard that story, so I'm going to ask those guys if that's true. I'm not surprised, though. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Because that's the competitor in Cooper, right?
Cooper, I know, is always just so locked in the moment. And I bet he would have said hi to his teammates, though. I bet he would have said hi. But, again, I want to ask those guys if that's true.
Against Arizona, what are the biggest priorities?
Well, I mean, look, they're explosive on offense, and they do a great job getting out in transition. So you have to do the best job you can making them a half-court team, which isn't easy. And then you got to rebound. And they do a great job on the boards.
Look at Fanta stirring the pot a little bit there with Johnny Scheyer. Brilliant job by John Fanta talking to the guys leading up to the game tomorrow with two blue blood brands in Arizona and Duke. Let's talk about our final game tomorrow night, Texas Tech and Arkansas. John Calipari had a lot of people take a lot of shots at him throughout the year. Early on, people said he's lost it. They overpaid for this roster, blah, blah, blah. They're in the second weekend. All is well. They're taking on a Texas Tech team that I always feel like is just kind of under the radar, but is really quietly good. This is a fun matchup coming up. I really have no idea. This is a game I wouldn't bet with McCall's money, but Mike Latula, give me your vibe on Arkansas, Texas Tech.
Well, my vibe is it's not just like a, hey, we're happy to be here thing for Coach Cal. I think he's been reinvigorated a little bit with going back to maybe his roots as more of an underdog. Because I do think that the two things that he does really well is he gets buy-in and he can motivate. And when you have those two components and you have some dogs on your team, like I think Arkansas does, that can be a damn good recipe when it comes together. So I think, when you looked at the St. John's game, I think it really stood out how, freakish athletically they are, especially in the front court, and how they can hold their own there. And that's why I'm so fascinated to see this matchup with that front court and Toppin and see who wins that out. And because I think Toppin's going to make them work. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I go back to the buy-in piece because something I think that's been overlooked for Arkansas is the play of their freshmen, Richmond and Knox. Those guys, talk about buying in. Those guys have bought into their roles. They're low maintenance. They play their asses off, and they've made big plays in big moments this year, and they can be counted on in certain situations. So, look, Boogie being reintegrated to the lineup, I think has been big. And you can go back weeks on this show. I've said it. I never bought into the, suck with Boogie, better without him thing. I think what you ran into was the natural progression of a team who was new hitting their stride in February. I think it would have happened with Boogie. And maybe there's elements of it where, hey, Nelly Davis got going a little bit and found himself a little bit, sure. But acting like Boogie was some sort of net negative and you were better off without him, I thought was insane. So now you add another creator, ball handler into the mix. He's finding his footing. He's got 2 more games under his belt. I think this is it's big for Arkansas. But I flip to the Texas Tech side. What's Chance McMillan's availability? That's really, really key here because against this Arkansas defense, you need to be able to have movement shooters and guys that can make shots off the bounce, and Chance is that. So I talked about the matchup with Toppin. I had Texas Tech advancing in my bracket. I have Texas Tech in an Elite 8. I'll stick with my pick, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't scared of the Hogs at this point.
That's what I'm saying, man. I wouldn't bet it with McCall's money. Right, McCall? I mean, how you feel? I mean, if I was on the BetMGM app right now, I'm not looking at this game.
No, I'm not looking at this game, and it's to what Mike was saying too. Everybody's saying they're better without Boogie Flan because John L. Davis has found himself. No, John L. Davis may have found something when Boogie Flan was out. Maybe that Coach Cal found something like, hey, look, this guy needs to have the ball in his hands. This guy's a creator. Like, go back and watch film from when he was at FAU. He's not a guy you can just throw in the corner and expect to make 3-point jump shots. He's a guy that needs to be in ball screens. He's a guy that needs to have the ball on outlets, playing in transition and playing fast in transition. And adding Boogie Flan back just gives them another weapon. It doesn't take away from what John L. has done. And maybe they've all figured something out, which makes them really dangerous. Grant McCaslin, this Texas Tech team with JT Toppin, McCaslin, when he was at North Texas, it was all about less possessions. Let's slow the game down. We don't want to play fast. We want to slow it down, and we're going to play these games in the 50s. Well, when you look at this Texas Tech team now, I mean, they're 24th in the country in total offense, over 80 points per game. So he's evolved as a coach, and the job that he's doing right now is not getting talked about enough. It's really not.
Totally.
This is an interesting matchup. This is an intriguing matchup. This is a matchup in the Sweet 16 that we're not talking about enough. We want to talk so much about Florida and Maryland. We want to talk so much about Auburn and Michigan. We want to talk about Tennessee and Kentucky. But this one, I mean, this is intriguing.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
This is awesome.
All the fans that bought their tickets on SeatGeek, they better have their Mando on tomorrow. I'm telling you right now, they're going to be sweating because this thing is going to be nip and tuck. I will tell you that right now. It's got everything we need. It's like Wayfair. Mike LaTulip. You like how I worked all that in there? I thought that was pretty good, like a NASCAR driver.
Wayfair. Way to bring up Wayfair. Wow.
I was just looking at the bottom of the screen. And
I think I got this desk on. I think I get this desk on Wayfair. By the way, I did.
Just what you need. They got just what you need, baby. And you know what? You probably made a couple bucks to buy it from BetMGM on some playing with the big dogs. LaTulip, go ahead.
I will say it's not often that you have the 3 seed playing against the 10 seed, and the 3 seed can kind of get a little bit of nobody believes in us coming into the game, because there's a lot of talk about Cal. Now it's all of a sudden everybody's turned a corner on this Arkansas. He changed that, and they become more kind of run and gun. I think it's been unbelievable, really, what McCaslin has done. And I've just, I know in like the media you don't want to be, hey, I'm a fan, but after he did the Field of 68 interview with the crew here, I was I became a McCaslin believer for sure. Yeah.
He's the dude, and so underrated. Like, that's why I brought it up earlier, and McCall reiterated it. The guy never gets talked about, but consistently, whether it was North Texas or Arky State or where, I mean, the guy's just a winner, flat out winner. And look at where they're at right now. It's pretty darn incredible. Worthy of a dad water. I'll tell you that. Grant McCaslin and what he's done. Let's take a break, come back. Let's talk transfer portal. It's out of control. We'll talk about it next on After Dark.
College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light. Were you one of the people that thought that Wisconsin was going to beat BYU, that St. John's was going to get past Arkansas? If you lost in the first weekend of our $40,000 Survivor contest, I have good news. We are hosting a $15 to enter second chance Sweet 16 Survivor. There is more than $30,000 up top if all 2,200 spots filled. With their slick mobile app and user-friendly website, Splash Sports is the home of Survivor. So sign up and prove that once again, you know more ball than the Field of 68.
All right, back here on After Dark. Sweet 16 is tomorrow, but the portal just opened up yesterday, and it's out of control. We had over 1,000 kids put their name in it. McCall is looking on in disgust. I saw, and what's wild now is like when you hire a coach, you hire a team. Bennett Sturts goes to Iowa with Ben McCollum. It's a whole new world that we're living in. It's really crazy. But I think a lot of us look at it who love the college experience, love our experiences, and kind of think this is absolutely disgusting. Matt McCall, I know you do, buddy. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sound off, pal.
I don't understand. I don't get it. Why can the portal not open up after the NCAA tournament's finished? Why can the portal not open up, after the national championship game? I don't get it. You have these coaches that have had great years. Will Wade, McNeese State, loses his game in the NCAA tournament. He's on a plane the next day to head to NC State. Jay Lucas is the top assistant at Duke. Jay Lucas does not get to go on this magical ride that Duke is having and be a part of that because everyone is so consumed with the portal. Oh, he has to get to Miami to start working on the portal and coaching his team because if he doesn't get down there soon enough, then he's going to be behind the eight ball. And then you have all these players, over 1,000 players that have already entered the portal. 1,000 players.
Only 5 play at a time for a team.
And the whole thing is, hey, like I just have to make progress towards my degree. And if it's not going well for me, I can just jump in and I can go somewhere else. There's no parameters around this. Like the talk is, hey, maybe we should add more teams into the NCAA tournament. Let's try to fix that. No, try to fix this. Try to fix this. This is what you need to fix. And I'm not saying that players should not be paid. I'm not saying that if there's a coaching change or you pick the wrong school based on the style of play or based on someone told you something in recruiting that wasn't true. Yeah, you get it one time. To think you can do it multiple times, when you see these players, it's like, and I think Nick Boyd from FAU, he had a great career at FAU. He goes to San Diego, they make the NCAA tournament this year, and I saw his name there, I'm like, he's in the portal again. Like, and this is not a knock on him, but this is what's going on. It's like, look, just go wherever you want. The second the clock hits zero, just go wherever you want. It makes no sense. And then every administration is so caught up and so, panicked about the portal. We have to get a coach in right now. We have to get a coach in today. The season doesn't even end. Why is the portal opening during the NCAA tournament? Why are assistant coaches and head coaches that are in the Sweet 16 right now worried about the portal? It's what like why are they worried about the portal? They should be worried about winning a national championship. They should not be worried about the portal. They should be focused on coaching, scouting, game prep, everything like that. Not having to look at their phone every 2 seconds on verbal commits of who else is in the portal today. This guy it makes no sense. It makes no sense. If it's gonna be this way, if we're not gonna have like any parameters around it, at least extend it until after the season.
Totally agree with that, Mike. I don't think it's not rocket science. It's a mess.
Yeah, I'll try to make this quick. I have a lot to say on the issue, but the fix to me is limiting the players' mobility. That has to be first, because like the issue right now is the volume of players that are in the portal. I think the way that it's set up right now, it actually makes sense that the window is what it is, because there's such an influx of players. You need it to be spaced out. And having it after the season with the way it's set up currently, that's less of a vetting process for the players, because summer school starts in June for a lot of these schools. So that's less time for the players to vet a situation. That's less time for a coaching staff to vet a player and vet, try to form their roster. So I totally get it. I think you have to change the ability for these players to leave every single year. The issue is that feels like it's never going to get passed in court. And for like the coaching side of it, coaches that are in the Sweet 16 complaining about it, that's neither here nor there. Staffs are much bigger now, especially staffs at a high major level. There are more coaches that can recruit now. There's more coaches that can handle that. If there was just one coach, that would be an issue. But the other thing that I think is cool too is what a hell of a marketing tool that some of these teams have, right? And what you have at your disposal. Hey, player that I'm on Zoom with, you like our system? We see you playing in this system. Why don't you go ahead and watch our system tomorrow night on CBS? Watch our fans. Look how much they're into it. Look how much they care about our program. Why don't you sit on your couch and watch our program tomorrow in the Sweet 16? That's not a bad marketing tool to have, I think, for some of those schools.
Not at all. I'm going to give a show toast of the evening tonight to Fran McCaffrey, who's back in coaching in the Ivy League at Penn. Also, Ali Faroukmanish at USF. I think that is a great hire and excited for him. So a toast to both of them. We are done for McCall and LaTulip. We'll see you next time on After Dark. Peace, everybody.
I have been looking for the best deal on March Madness tickets, which is why I want to give the sponsor of today's show, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app with over 28 million downloads and more than 70,000 events available. Now that March Madness is here, SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated so you know if it's a good deal with that little green dot, and it's backed by a buyer guarantee. You can get 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek with code FIELD of68. That's code FIELD of 68.
I want my home to feel like my home. So whether I'm looking for big furniture, just a small piece for my place, or maybe some storage solutions for the basement or the garage, the answer is Wayfair. Seriously, I needed a new patio set and fire pit for my backyard. I bought it on Wayfair. It looks great on our deck, and it gives me an excuse to fire up the smoker, invite some friends over, crack a couple beers. Just last week, I bought a new chair for my office, someplace comfortable to sit while the madness takes up the 4 screens in front of me. I got it on Wayfair, clicked a few buttons. A couple days later, it showed up at my front door. They even offered to help set it up for you. Digging through online stores can be intimidating. Trust me, I know. It can be hard to find what you're looking for in your price range, but not on Wayfair. They have great options, even if you are balling on a budget like me. Wayfair has every style for every home, including mine and yours. So head to wayfair.com and shop everything home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
We're live. It's the afters. Hit the chat.
I'm not getting close to any bear.
My career high on the court is 28.
All right, back here, Field of 68 After Dark. It is the afters as we go a little extra, and we'll get some questions in here with our producer, Dagan, in just a second. Bob, let's pick up the conversation. Let's pick up the transfer portal conversation. A lot of us are pissed about it. A lot of us think it's insane to see 1,000+ guys in the portal. You know, I look at what pains me the most about it all is that we completely lost point of why college basketball or college football or anything was cool. You were making a home. I mean, that was a place to go back to. It was a place to show your kids. It's where you met your spouse. I mean, there's something about the college experience. We've completely taken it. Like Derek Queen said after the game, he's like, I listen to Kevin Willard because he pays me. Tongue in cheek or not, there was something symbolic in that. But Latulip, I mean, it's really a point of contention, certainly. But I know you wanted to continue your thoughts.
No, I wanted to continue because I just wanted to get McCall's thoughts. Just going through because I do think that the first problem is the amount of the autonomy and mobility that they have to begin with, to leave every single year. And then the second thing I'm mentioning with the coaches, where it's actually not a bad tool for the teams that are still in it. And then you talked about, I guess I would ask you this, McCall, if you were a coach and let's say you got the Miami, I know obviously you were a coach, but if you got a job, you got the Miami job at the same time that Lucas got it. What would you prefer happen? Would you prefer that, you get there and just kind of sit there for a month until the national championship ends? Or would you want to get moving on securing visits and commitments and trying to build a team? I don't know. I would love to get your thoughts.
Well, first of all, and I saw Anthony Grant get the VCU job in 2006, and he was a part of our national championship in 2006. He was a huge piece of it. Be able to be a part of that. But because we're so consumed with the transfer portal, Jay Lucas doesn't get to be a part of this Duke run. He doesn't. And that's a credit to Jon Scheyer and saying, hey, look, man, you got to go. And I understand the opportunity that Jay Lucas has, and he has to go. I get it. But it's also man, that's being a part of a Final Four team. Maybe he gets there at Miami. Maybe he doesn't. But it's not being able to ride this thing out. And I know he's making a good amount of money and all that, but it's the memories, the relationships with the players, the memories of going on that run, to a Final Four. You have that for the rest of your life. I mean, my desk chair right now is a Final Four chair from 2007. So it's just it's one of those things. It's just and I get the window is small and Latul, I agree with you there, but it also gives coaches times when their season is over, you get meetings, you get player meetings, you have opportunities to meet with players and try to convince them to stay, build the relationship on convincing them to stay. And then maybe players aren't so quick to jump in the portal if they know, hey, look, I only have, a 3-week window. I only have a month window to figure this out. But I agree with you in terms of it's not necessarily the portal. It's more of the parameters around everything. There's no rules. There's no rules. I'm unhappy, I'm in. I'm unhappy, I'm in. I don't care if I've left 3 or 4 years. As long as I'm making progress towards my degree. It's easy to make progress towards your degree. Just ask Chris. Child was just make progress towards your master's degree. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Just show up, go to class,
just gotta,
have a good
work. Yeah, and you'll make
just
progress.
do a little bit of work, and you'll make progress. Just a little bit of work.
Well, I know a lot of instances too where guys have transferred. We talk about, again, the student athlete tag has become less and less
ridiculous
student as the year has gone on. But I mean, it case in point with the way the transfer portal has worked. I mean, a lot of these transfers, I shouldn't say a lot. I know a lot of guys that have transferred that haven't had credits roll over. And so they're actually behind on graduation. Yes. And so that is, so what are we doing if that's,
and they don't care because it's not what they're there for.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
And that's what pisses me off, because at the end, and I'm not pie in the sky, don't make your money, make your money because you earned it, and 100%. You're making gazillions of dollars.
That's a big part of this too. That's a massive part of this. Guys are getting in because of that. That's a driving force in this.
Here's the other big part of this. The agents. And there's some great agents out there, but there's some great agents out there. There's some great agents. I'm not trying to bash agents, but there's also some terrible ones that say, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an agent, and I'm going to get close to a player, and I'm going to get close to him and say, hey, man, I guarantee you that I can get you to this school and get you X amount of dollars. Like, this was the whole deal with the whole FBI investigation that, everyone was so frustrated with the AAU world. So, okay, let's do this. Let's take the power away from the AAU coaches, who there's some great AAU coaches out there. There's some AAU coaches that do this for the right reasons. They do it for the players. They do it for developing the players. But we're going to take the power from the AAU coaches, and we're going to give it to the agents. That seems like a good idea. That seems like a positive thing to do. That's what happened with this whole FBI thing. And now we have an influx of people that want to be agents that take advantage of players, take advantage of, and charge them a ridiculous percentage.
It's probably the easiest place to take advantage as a high school kid going to college.
It's unbelievable. But if you're a kid right now and you pick up your cell phone and you have an agent that hits your phone and says, hey, man, you're worth a lot more. I guarantee you I can get you $100,000 over of what you're making right now. And you don't even know if he's a good agent. You're listening to it.
How do you
don't
know?
You're an 18, 19-year-old kid. I would have listened to it too if I was 18.
How do you even vet him, though?
That's my point. That's my point.
There's
some great agents out there. There's some great ones. But there's some guys that have no clue what they're doing. But there's some guys that have no clue what they're doing. That's right. That's right.
I bet you most of them have no clue what they're doing. There's so many kids. Most of them don't know. And for every great one, the ones that don't know what they're doing are screwing up the whole thing for everybody. And ultimately, here's the thing: make your money, but get your damn degree, because it helps you make more money. Once you stop playing basketball, guess what? They're going to look at that when you go to get a job or start a business or whatever, and it's going to give you a leg up. And we just kind of forgot about that aspect of it. It just doesn't matter anymore.
The last point that I'll make here too, this is just transferring in general, is as a player, give yourself a chance to develop. Just give yourself a chance. I mean, it is hard as it is starting
on and
over
off the court
every single year. New system, new location, new everything.
Absolutely.
And so the really, really smart players, Bennett Sturts is really smart. Yep. He could have gone to the market and got $2 million. But he's like, you know what? I know myself. I fit in McCollum's system. And for my professional prospects, I should be playing to my strengths and not just chasing money. Because right now what we have is like there's a lot of players that are looking 5 feet in front of them and saying, well, I can make X amount of money this year, but not realizing that for their professional prospects, they may be actually losing money if it's not a situation that accentuates their abilities. So like that I think is an issue as well. And I think it just becomes a vicious cycle because you make a move for money, which, in a lot of situations, like, there's, how are you going to turn that down? I'm speaking from as a college kid being offered amount of money. Like, I totally get it. But like the byproduct of that is that you make a decision that's money motivated that then may not be a good basketball fit, and then you leave again because it's not a good basketball fit. So then the vicious cycle just kind of continues. So it's, I don't know, probably go all day on this.
We could, and at some point something's got to happen. All right, let's see what Dagan's got. Let's see if we got any questions from our famed producer, Mr. Dagan. Dagan, you got anything tonight for the afters?
Hello, fellas. I do not have anything to chat so far, so Chad, get your questions in if you want them answered. But I do guys want to ask you. So obviously we talked about all of Thursday's games, Give me your favorite matchup from Friday in the Sweet 16.
Ooh.
There's some good ones. I think Ole Miss, Michigan State is one that kind of gets me all riled up. I mean, even Michigan Auburn. You know what?
That's the one.
What right? Like, what is Auburn gonna be, and will they implode at some point?
That's the one for me. That's the one. I want to see how does Bruce Pearl game plan for Vlad Golden up front. Are they going to double him? You know, because you have to keep Janai Broom out of foul trouble. Like that's the matchup. You know, what are they going to do with Danny Wolf? You know, what are they going to do with the 4-5 pick and roll? You've got, you know, a veteran coach in Bruce Pearl who is one of the best coaches in the country. You have, it's crazy to see, you know, think this because he's already been to a Final Four. You have a young coach in Dusty May who has just like been sitting in his office, you know, with his glasses on, scheming, game planning, drawing up ball plays, doing everything that he's done his entire career, even going back to his days as a manager when he was at Indiana, just like the X's and O's piece. Like, how can he attack that Auburn defense? So I think that's the one on Friday for me. Kentucky, Tennessee, we've seen it before. Can Tennessee overcome, you know, losing to Kentucky twice? We'll see how that matchup. But for me, man, it's Michigan Auburn.
Mike,
yeah,
take us home, baby.
Yeah, I agree. It's Michigan Auburn for me as well. I think the matchup in the front court that's going to get the headlines for sure. I actually fully expect Janai Broom to have a big game. You just look at Michigan during this postseason run. I mean, Pharrell Payne has 26 in the A&M game. You know, Derek Queen scores 31 on them in the Big Ten tournament. Trey Kaufman-Renn has 24 and 9 on them in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, Janai Broom may have a big game here. The difference is that A&M game, Wade Taylor and Phelps were 6 of 24. I think it was the Maryland game, Gillespie and Rice were shot under 40% from the field combined. Smith and Lawyer in that Purdue Big Ten tournament game with Michigan were 5 of 24 combined. So who am I looking at? I'm looking at the Auburn guards and the Auburn backcourt. That backcourt that had 55 points in their last game combined between Baker Mazzara, Pettiford, and Jones. So if they repeat that performance that they did against Creighton, Auburn is going to advance. Mm-hmm. I think, no doubt. But it's different with Michigan because not only do they switch, but they switch. And I don't think Danny Wolf gets enough credit for the way he moves his feet at 7 foot. And how when you pull him out on the perimeter, you think 7 foot guy, let me take him off the bounce. And he's so good, you know, closing gaps and contesting shots. That's bothered a lot of guards and wings in this, not only in this tournament, but in postseason play in general for Michigan. So I'm dying to see this matchup. I have Auburn winning the game in my bracket, but a Michigan State Elite Eight would be freaking insane.
Ooh.
It would be good. It would be
Logo
good.
Gate.
It would be good.
Logo Gate.
Coming off the logo.
You can stand on the logo in March Madness. Don't worry about it, Michigan. You can stand on that logo.
Good. All right, boys. Well, let's get some rest. Let's get ready for tomorrow. It's a big day. Tomorrow, the Sweet 16 begins. We are done. Dagan, Trevor, our producers, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow after the action on After Dark. Good night, everybody.